Journey to God's House, Chapter 15, entitled, I Saw You Look at My Daughter. Now let's plan the wedding. So at Bethel, he mentions, Brock Talon does, that the sisters would come in droves to go visit Bethel. And as a young man full of testosterone, was a good thing because he liked the attention from the single sisters. Well, who wouldn't? So even though there were hundreds of single brothers at Bethel, if you had any measure of good looks or any game at all, you could have lots of sisters writing you, visiting you, sending you stuff. I realize this was the 80s. Nowadays, you'd probably be friending each other on Facebook or something like that, or what have you. So he got a taste of this very early on in Bethel. But you had to be careful because dating in the Jehovah's Witness world is just like everything else, is very strict. You can't date for a very long time or else you're labeled as playing with someone's feelings or emotions. So there's a lot of pressure to get engaged very quickly, and then there's a lot of pressure not to have a long engagement because then you're just opening the door to have sex before marriage. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to tell us about a time that his three other roommates invited him to have an ice cream party. So he thought, okay, all right, fair enough. But really, it was an intervention to tell Brock Talon that he was being somewhat of a playboy and playing with sisters' emotions, with writing several different sisters at the same time, and that he needs to curb this destructive behavior right away. So, needless to say, he got out of that four-man room arrangement as soon as he could. So, again, the unspoken rules of the Jehovah's Witnesses and their dating is, again, it's very strict. You can't date very long. If you break off a courtship, there needs to be an X amount of time to show that you're not just out there on the dating scene trying to be a player. And if you get engaged, again, remember, you got to get married quickly, because if you string out the engagement for so long, well, you're bound to have sex before marriage. Well, duh. But anyways, Brock Talon then goes on to talk about how one of his ex four-man roommates, how he got into a little pickle himself by dating a single sister. And then come to find out she had lied to him just to start dating, just to catch a Bethelite. And that she lied to him about her desire to go to Bethel with him, and that she didn't want to live at that horrible place. Well, this is pretty devastating to a Bethelite, because when you get married, there's a good chance that you won't get accepted to go back as a couple. You have to reapply. So that means he would have to leave Bethel, which he probably didn't want to leave in the first place. And if he broke off the engagement, he's going to get kicked out of Bethel, because that's a no-no. You don't break off an engagement, because in the Jehovah's Witness world, that's almost the same as divorce. As a matter of fact, let's just say it is the same thing as divorce. So there's going to be some problems if you break off an engagement. So the very guy that told him sat him down with some ice cream and said that he needed to watch what he was doing because he was being a playboy, was now in a pickle himself. Then he talks about this sister that he met at a tour there in Bethel, and he calls her Sister Cutie Smith. And so his roommate, I guess, set up a little group dating session because there's a loophole when you date. You got to have a chaperone, and so if you go out with a group of friends, it's not really considered quote unquote dating. So that's how many young Jehovah's Witnesses date, and they just go out in groups, really. So if you want to date other people, you just kind of get a group of people, and then you could kind of have that loophole of plausible deniability that, hey, I'm not dating the sister. We were out with a group of friends. So, anyways, after some time, he finally is able to go on a group date, you could say, to New Jersey to visit this girl. And they're having some good, clean fun, or it had just snowed. They were having snowball fights and this and that. You know, young, typical adults having good, clean fun. So he goes in to get some hot chocolate, and he has an interesting conversation with the girl's mom. She's basically pressuring him to start dating or go on. And that's something that he didn't really want to do right now, even though he had some sort of feelings with this girl, Sister Cutie Smith. Possibly there could have been something that was going on, but who knows. But when you got a mom that's like that, demanding and manipulative, it's probably best that you did stay away from that. So good call, Brock. And even though it kind of was a bummer that he wouldn't ever see this girl again or kind of see how things would play out, I think it was for the best, Brock. So anyways, this is going to conclude this chapter. Thanks for listening. Thank you for taking time to listen to my summary of the book, Journey to God's House. Post your comments, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next chapter.